So today I'm going to talk about the chatbot that I've created. It is called Flipkart Chatbot Recommender. It will just specifically recommend you a particular product that you wanted to purchase. So we can select our query, the particular product that you wanted, and it will recommend you particular product according to your desired need. So in the backend, I have attached a data set where the data set contains the latest products from the Flipkart and according to the reviews and according to the ratings. So this attached vector databases it will use to as a vector database for the recommendation for the chatbot. So show you what is the chatbot. This is chatbot. So suggest me some other chatbots. So in the backend, I have used the Grok API as a LLM, and I just uh, creating in the entire workflow using the Langchain along with the RAG. So the main purpose for this project is that showcasing the deployment of a chatbot on the Kubernetes cluster, along with the monitoring with the Prometheus and the Grafana for the visualization. So the Prometheus is used for the monitoring purpose, and the Grafana is used for the visualization purpose of the matrix that have fetched by the Prometheus to visualize this matrix on the Grafana. That's the main purpose of showcasing these projects. So this is my project. I have created this project using the some of the HTML context as a web page, and in the backend I use the Flask API for the API purpose. So that's what it is. I'll walk you through towards the code. So I'll first talk about the code. So these are the supporting codes whether so here that I'm I'm loading the data set from the local directory. That's the code and then I'm doing the data ingestion in the vector store. So we are using the AstraDBVectorStore for the storing data and to converting the data set into the embedding format that I'm using the Hugging Face embedding format to converting the vector actual code in actual data into the embedding format. And that's our RAG pipeline. So first of all, we are creating history. So we also creating the history of the data sets of the communication. That's our prompt templates. We're specifically telling the chatbot that you are e-commerce bot answering product related queries and the reviews titles. Yeah, that's what is precisely telling our LLM. What's the purpose of what's the role of that particular LLM? That's what it is. Then I'll go forward the application. That's our application. So first of all, there's the creator. That's a simple interface that we created. That's we are rerouting our in the HTML page where the templates that we created I showcased to you. There, that's where it is. And this is for the conversation part. And that's the matrix, that particular matrix that we created for the Prometheus. So Prometheus will scratch our metrics. So how time we are sending the how many times we are redirecting towards this web page. So it will scrap all the information from the our Kubernetes cluster, and then which Grafana will visualize this. I will show you in the later part where I will talk about the Prometheus part. So the Prometheus part where I created two manifest files. First is the manifest for the configuration part. So the config map file. So that's in that particular file that I'm specifically telling the Prometheus what you need to do scrape from the Kubernetes clusters. So that's what is the kind is the config map. The name is the Prometheus config. Then the task that I talked about, I was talking about there are two tasks. So the first task for the scrape config. So we are telling the Prometheus scrape the dataset of your own container. So it is scraping its own own metrics. Like we are specifically telling the static config is a local host 1990. That's their own host of a Prometheus, and then again we are telling the Prometheus to scrape the data set, to scrape the metrics from this Flask application. This is our deployed on the Kubernetes cluster, and that's our port. And here that's the Prometheus deployment. Here this kind is a Prometheus deployment where we are telling the telling in the manifest that this is our deployment part, and along with that we are also creating another manifest, that's a service manifest, where we are we are showcasing our port at a 1990 using a TCP model, and all this image that we are fetching from the Docker hub, by the way. And we'll talk about the Grafana part. Here's a Grafana deployment. We are creating a one, that's the kind is equal to deployment, where we are creating only one replica. That's our template. And we are telling the Kubernetes cluster that we are fetching our Grafana image from the Docker hub. That's our Docker image name, and that's our port name. And also we are creating a service called service for the Grafana service to make an entry for the 3000 port for the communication part. And again, we go for the main deployment where we are creating our application. So this is our application deployment part. Also, we have created the service part as well. That's our deployment part. That's the call name of Flask name. This is our Flask name. That's a Kubernetes cluster name, which is a Flask app. Thus, we are creating only one replica over here. So I'll walk you through towards the deployment part. So we choose the GCP cloud, GCP Google Cloud. In that we are deploying our entire Kubernetes application on the VM instance, where first of all I install the Docker Hub in that particular VM instance. Then after that I have installed a Minikube in that cluster. Then after that, installing the Minikube cluster, I have installed the kubectl, which is a tool to communicate with the Minikube. Then after that, I have just created some query there as well for the installation purpose. I'll show you through the Prometheus. So in this Prometheus, I told you about we are scraping the two data sets, two particular points. We are first of all scraping the Prometheus Prometheus own data, and along with that, we are fetching our applications data as well. That's what it is. And these are the both endpoint for the our two scraping point. Then I'll show you the Grafana part. So that's the Grafana part. So where that's the application health check, where we are continuously fetching the metrics application health in a timeline of a 15 seconds. So this is our application health check, and that's the own Prometheus own checks of how how it actually works. And that's our chatbot. Okay.